In a quiet little town in Georgia, surrounded by sprawling fields and endless skies, lived a young girl named Maya Johnson. Her world revolved around two things: airplanes and dreams. From as early as she could remember, Maya had been fascinated by the sight of planes slicing through the clouds above her home. Every time one passed overhead, she would stop whatever she was doing, tilt her head back, and watch until it disappeared into the horizon. To her, those machines weren't just hunks of metal, they were freedom itself. Maya's father, James, worked as a mechanic for crop-dusting planes at the local airstrip. He spent his days fixing engines, tightening bolts, and ensuring that each plane was ready to take flight. On weekends, he'd bring Maya along with him, letting her sit on the fence while he worked. She loved listening to the hum of propellers warming up and feeling the rumble of engines beneath her feet. Sometimes, if the pilots weren't too busy, they'd let her peek inside the cockpits or even sit in the pilot's seat for a moment. Those brief moments felt magical to Maya, like stepping into another world where gravity didn't exist. One sunny afternoon, when Maya was about 6 years old, something extraordinary happened. A small Cessna landed at the airstrip, and its pilot, an older man with kind eyes and a cowboy hat, noticed how captivated Maya was by his plane. "You ever think about flying?" he asked her casually as she ran her fingers over the smooth surface of the wing. Without hesitation, Maya nodded vigorously. "I'm gonna be a pilot," she declared, her voice filled with conviction. "Tiuam." Man chuckled but didn't dismiss her. Instead, he knelt down to her level and said, "Well, kiddo, if you want it bad enough, maybe someday you will." That conversation planted a seed deep within Maya's heart. Over the years, her fascination with aviation only grew stronger. While other kids played with dolls or video games, Maya spent hours sketching planes in notebooks, reading books about famous pilots, and building model aircraft from kits. By the time she reached middle school, she knew exactly what she wanted to do with her life: become a fighter pilot, the best one anyone had ever seen. But not everyone shared her vision. In fact, most people dismissed it outright. Growing up as a black girl in a community where opportunities were limited, Maya faced constant reminders of the obstacles in her path. Teachers encouraged her to focus on realistic careers like nursing or teaching. Friends teased her, saying girls weren't meant to fly jets. Even some family members gently suggested she lower her expectations. "It's hard enough for men to make it in that field," her aunt once told her. "For someone like you, nearly impossible." Someone like me stung more than anything else. Maya understood what it meant. It wasn't just about being female. It was also about being black. History hadn't been kind to people who looked like her. Women of color rarely appeared in stories about heroism or adventure, let alone in tales of daring pilots breaking sound barriers. But instead of letting those words discourage her, Maya used them as fuel. If the world thought she couldn't succeed, she'd prove them wrong, not out of spite, but because she believed in herself. Determined to turn her dream into reality, Maya threw herself into her studies. She excelled in math and science, subjects that came naturally to her because she saw them as tools for understanding flight. In high sheer passion, she joined the school's robotics club, where she learned about engineering principles and problem solving. Outside of academics, she stayed active, running track and practicing yoga to build stamina and flexibility, qualities essential for any aspiring pilot. By the time graduation rolled around, Maya had earned scholarships to several prestigious universities, including one with a renowned aviation program. Her parents couldn't have been prouder. They scrimped and saved to send her off to college, knowing full well the sacrifices they were making. "You've got this, baby girl," her dad told her on the day she left for school. "Just keep your eyes on the sky, and don't let nobody tell you otherwise." Those words echoed in Maya's mind as she stepped onto campus for the first time, eager to begin the next chapter of her journey. College was both exhilarating and challenging. For the first time, Maya found herself surrounded by people who shared her passion for aviation. She bonded with classmates over late-night study sessions and thrilling discussions about aerodynamics. Yet, despite the camaraderie, she still encountered resistance. Professors occasionally underestimated her abilities, assigning her simpler tasks during group projects. Male peers sometimes excluded her from conversations about career goals, assuming she wouldn't understand technical jargon. But Maya refused to shrink herself to fit their expectations. Instead, she worked twice as hard, earning top grades and gaining hands-on experience through internships. Maya's journey toward becoming a fighter pilot reached a pivotal moment when she was accepted into an elite military pilot training program. It was the opportunity of a lifetime, one that brought her closer than ever to fulfilling her childhood dream. The program was notorious for its intensity, designed to push candidates to their absolute limits, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Maya knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was ready, or so she thought. From the very first day, the challenges were relentless. Trainees were expected to master complex flight simulations, navigate tactical scenarios under pressure, and endure grueling physical fitness tests. For Maya, the academic portion came naturally. She had always excelled in subjects like physics and engineering, and her years of studying aviation theory gave her a solid foundation. In the classroom, she shone brightly, often scoring higher than many of her peers on written exams and technical quizzes. But outside the classroom, things were different. Some of the instructors seemed skeptical of her presence from the start. They questioned her abilities openly, making snide remarks about whether someone like her belonged in such a demanding environment. At first, Maya tried to brush it off, telling herself that proving them wrong would be the best revenge. However, as time went on, the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, bias began to take its toll. One particular instructor, a stern man with a reputation for being tough on trainees, singled Maya out during training sessions. He would interrupt her mid-sentence during briefings, claiming she didn't understand the material well enough. When she asked questions, he dismissed them as unnecessary or overly simplistic. Other trainees noticed too, and some began to mimic his attitude, treating her as though she were less capable simply because of who she was. It wasn't just frustrating, it was isolating. Despite the hostility, Maya refused to give up. She poured every ounce of energy into honing her skills, determined to show that she deserved to be there as much as anyone else. During simulator exercises, she performed flawlessly, executing maneuvers with precision and confidence. Her scores consistently ranked among the highest in her group. Still, no matter how well she did, it never seemed to be enough. There was always someone waiting to criticize, to doubt, to undermine. Then came the incident that changed everything. It was a routine evaluation flight, a test designed to assess each trainee's ability to handle real-world situations in the air. Maya had prepared tirelessly for this moment, studying every possible scenario and rehearsing her responses until they became second nature. As she climbed into the cockpit of the training jet, she felt a mix of nerves and excitement. This was it, the chance to prove herself once and for all. The flight started smoothly. Maya followed the instructions given by ground control, performing each task with care and accuracy. But halfway through the exercise, something went wrong. The aircraft began to behave erratically, shaking violently as warning lights flashed across the dashboard. Instinctively, Maya scanned the instruments, trying to pinpoint the issue. Within seconds, she realized the problem, a critical system failure caused by faulty maintenance. It wasn't her fault. It was a mechanical error that should have been caught before takeoff. Panicking would have been easy, but Maya stayed calm. Drawing on everything she'd learned, she worked quickly to stabilize the plane and bring it back down safely. Every move she made was deliberate, calculated, and precise. Against all odds, she managed to land the jet without incident. As she stepped out of the cockpit, relief washed over her. She had done everything right. Surely the evaluators would see that. But they didn't. Instead of acknowledging the mechanical failure, the instructors turned the blame squarely on Maya. They accused her of mishandling the aircraft, claiming she hadn't responded appropriately to the situation. No amount of evidence or explanation could sway them. Despite her protests, Maya was expelled from the program, labeled as unfit to continue. The news hit her like a punch to the gut. All her hard work, all her sacrifices, had led to this? To be kicked out based on lies and prejudice felt unbearable. For days, Maya locked herself away, replaying the events in her mind, wondering what she could have done differently. Had she spoken up more forcefully? Should she have pushed back harder against the criticism? The questions swirled endlessly, leaving her feeling defeated. But then slowly, something shifted inside her. Anger began to replace despair. How dare they dismiss her so easily? How dare they rob her of her dreams because of who she was? Maya realized that giving up wasn't an option. If anything, this setback only strengthened her resolve. She wouldn't let their narrow-mindedness define her future. She would find another way to fly, even if it meant forging a path entirely on her own. With newfound determination, Maya returned home. Her family welcomed her with open arms, offering words of encouragement and support. Her father reminded her of the lessons he'd taught her growing up. When life knocks you down, you get back up stronger than before. Her mother hugged her tightly, whispering, "This isn't the end, sweetheart. It's just a detour." Inspired by their faith in her, Maya began to rebuild. She took a job as a commercial airline pilot, using her skills to earn a living while keeping her dream alive. At the same time, she threw herself into further education, pursuing advanced certifications in aerospace engineering. By night, she studied manuals for cutting-edge aircraft, including the F-22 Raptor, one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world. Though it seemed impossible, Maya vowed to master the machine, not just theoretically, but practically. Maya's return to civilian life wasn't easy, but it was far from the end of her journey. If anything, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with quiet determination and relentless preparation. While working as a commercial airline pilot, she found solace in the skies, even if they weren't the skies she had always dreamed of conquering. Flying passengers from one city to another gave her a sense of purpose, but deep down, she knew her heart belonged elsewhere, in the cockpit of a fighter jet, pushing boundaries and breaking barriers. Every spare moment outside of work became an opportunity for Maya to sharpen her skills and expand her knowledge. She immersed herself in advanced aerospace engineering courses, studying the intricacies of modern aircraft systems. Her focus was laser-sharp. She wanted to understand every bolt, every circuit, and every aerodynamic principle behind the world's most sophisticated planes. The F-22 Raptor in particular fascinated her. It was a marvel of technology, capable of speeds and maneuvers that seemed almost otherworldly. Though she had never flown one or even seen one up close, Maya made it her mission to learn everything about it. Her evenings were spent poring over technical manuals, watching videos of test flights, and practicing simulations on her computer. She memorized performance charts, studied emergency protocols, and analyzed footage of aerial combat demonstrations. To anyone else, this level of dedication might have seemed obsessive, but for Maya, it was necessary. She couldn't afford to leave anything to chance. Somewhere deep inside, she believed that her moment would come, and when it did, she needed to be ready. That moment arrived sooner than she expected. One weekend, while attending an air show as a spectator, Maya stumbled upon an unexpected opportunity. The event was packed with aviation enthusiasts, military personnel, and families eager to witness breathtaking aerial displays. As she wandered through the crowd, taking in the sights and sounds, she overheard a conversation between two uniformed officers standing near a display booth. They were discussing a growing shortage of qualified pilots for upcoming demonstrations, particularly those involving high-performance jets like the F-22. Maya's ears perked up. Without thinking twice, she approached them, introducing herself politely before diving into a detailed explanation of her background and expertise. She spoke confidently, sharing insights about the F-22's capabilities and how its advanced systems could be optimized during demonstrations. At first, the officers looked skeptical, exchanging glances as if unsure what to make of this bold stranger. But Maya didn't falter. She continued, weaving technical jargon with practical examples, demonstrating a depth of knowledge that caught their attention. Impressed by her passion and precision, the officers agreed to let her participate in a ground simulation test later that afternoon. They warned her that it was purely exploratory and unlikely to lead anywhere significant, but Maya didn't care. This was her chance to prove herself, however small it might seem. The simulation took place in a makeshift tent equipped with state-of-the-art flight controls and monitors. Maya stepped inside, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. The setup was designed to replicate real-world scenarios pilots might encounter during demonstrations, complete with unpredictable weather conditions, mechanical failures, and split-second decision-making challenges. For many candidates, these simulations were daunting, requiring not just skill but also quick thinking under pressure. But Maya thrived in this environment. From the moment she gripped the control stick, she felt at home. Her hands moved instinctively, adjusting throttle settings, executing tight turns, and navigating complex sequences with ease. On the monitor, virtual versions of the F-22 soared gracefully across the screen, responding perfectly to her commands. She anticipated each challenge before it arose, solving problems faster than anyone expected. By the time the simulation ended, the officers were speechless. "She's incredible," one of them murmured to the other, shaking his head in disbelief. "I've never seen anyone handle the Raptor like that, not even our top pilots." Word of Maya's performance spread quickly among the team organizing the air show. That evening, they invited her to observe an actual F-22 demonstration flight scheduled for the following week. Though it wasn't a formal invitation to fly, Maya recognized it for what it truly was, a foot in the door. She accepted graciously, knowing that being present at such an event could open doors she hadn't even considered. The days leading up to the demonstration were a whirlwind of anticipation. Maya prepared meticulously, reviewing every detail she could find about the F-22 and its operational procedures. She visualized herself in the cockpit, imagining what it would feel like to take control of such a powerful machine. Doubts crept in occasionally. What if she messed up? What if they realized she wasn't as qualified as she claimed? But she pushed them aside, focusing instead on the possibilities ahead. On the morning of the demonstration, Maya arrived at the airfield early, dressed in borrowed flight gear that fit snugly, but carried none of the insignias or badges worn by official pilots. As she walked toward the hangar where the F-22 awaited, she felt a strange mix of emotions: pride, fear, and an overwhelming sense of destiny. This was it, the moment she had been preparing for her entire life. What happened next would defy expectations and rewrite the narrative of who belonged in the skies. Little did Maya know, her name was about to become synonymous with courage, resilience, and excellence, a beacon of hope for anyone who dared to dream beyond the limits imposed by others. The day of the F-22 demonstration dawned bright and clear, with the kind of cloudless blue sky that seemed tailor-made for flying. Maya arrived at the airfield early, her heart pounding in anticipation. The hangar buzzed with activity as technicians inspected the sleek fighter jet, its polished surface gleaming under the morning sun. Pilots, engineers, and support staff moved about purposefully, their voices blending into a symphony of preparation. Maya stood quietly to the side, trying to blend in, despite feeling like all eyes were on her. She wasn't officially part of the team, just an observer, but she couldn't shake the sense that something extraordinary was about to happen. Her presence there was already unusual enough. Most people assumed she was simply a guest or perhaps someone connected to logistics. Few knew why she was really there, or what she was capable of. As the hours ticked by, the tension grew thicker. The primary pilot assigned to perform the demonstration, a seasoned veteran with years of experience, was nowhere to be seen. Whispers began to ripple through the crowd when one of the officers announced that the pilot had fallen ill suddenly and wouldn't be able to fly. Panic set in among the organizers. Replacing a pilot for such a high-profile event wasn't easy, especially for a jet as complex as the F-22. Every second counted, and the clock was ticking toward showtime. That's when Maya stepped forward. "I can do it," she said firmly, addressing the group of officers gathered near the hangar. Her voice carried confidence, though inside her stomach churned with nerves. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at her. Some stared in disbelief, others in outright skepticism. One officer raised an eyebrow and asked bluntly, You've flown an F-22 before? No, Maya admitted honestly. But I know this plane better than almost anyone here. I've studied every system, every protocol, and every maneuver it's capable of. You need someone who can step in right now, and I'm telling you, I can handle it. Her words hung in the air, met with a mixture of shock and hesitation. Flying an F-22 wasn't like driving a car. It required not just technical knowledge, but split-second decision-making and physical endurance. Even experienced pilots trained extensively before taking the controls of such a sophisticated machine. Letting someone without prior flight experience, even someone as knowledgeable as Maya take the helm was risky to say the least, but time was running out. After a tense discussion, the commanding officer made a decision. With no other viable options, they reluctantly agreed to let Maya suit up and attempt the flight. They emphasized that safety overrides everything. If anything felt off during pre-flight checks or takeoff, she was to abort immediately. There would be no second chances. Maya nodded, her expression resolute. As she climbed into the cockpit, strapping herself into the seat designed for elite aviators, she took a deep breath. This was it, the moment she'd been preparing for her entire life. The weight of the situation pressed down on her shoulders, but instead of fear, she felt clarity. Every late-night study session, every simulation, every ounce of determination had led her to this exact point. The engines roared to life, vibrating through the airframe as ground control gave her clearance for takeoff. Maya gripped the controls, her fingers steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Slowly, the F-22 taxied down the runway, gaining speed until it lifted gracefully into the sky. For a brief moment, Maya forgot about the doubts, the critics, and the obstacles that had tried to hold her back. All that mattered was the sensation of flight, the freedom, the power, the sheer exhilaration of soaring higher than ever before. Once, airborne, Maya executed the planned maneuvers with precision. She began with a series of loops and rolls, demonstrating the jet's agility and unmatched performance. Each movement was smooth, calculated, and flawless, leaving spectators below gasping in awe. Then came the more challenging sequences: rapid climbs, steep dives, and hairpin turns that pushed both the aircraft and its pilot to their limits. Maya remained calm and focused, trusting her instincts and the countless hours she'd spent studying the Raptor's capabilities. What truly stunned the audience, however, was her ability to improvise. During one segment of the demonstration, unexpected turbulence threatened to disrupt the routine. Most pilots would have aborted the maneuver, prioritizing safety over spectacle. But Maya didn't hesitate. Drawing on her training and quick thinking, she adjusted mid-flight, turning what could have been a mistake into a breathtaking display of skill. The crowd erupted in cheers, unaware of how close they had come to witnessing disaster. As the final moments of the flight approached, Maya prepared for the pièce de résistance, a supersonic pass so fast it would leave a sonic boom echoing across the landscape. Ground control radioed instructions, reminding her to maintain control at Mach speeds. Maya acknowledged calmly, her focus unwavering. When the moment came, she accelerated, pushing the F-22 to its maximum velocity. The roar of the engines reverberated through the atmosphere as the jet streaked past the spectators, disappearing in a blur of speed and sound. When she finally landed, bringing the F-22 to a perfect stop on the runway, the entire airfield erupted in applause. Technicians, pilots, and officials rushed toward her, their faces filled with disbelief and admiration. Even the skeptics tipped their hats, acknowledging that what they had just witnessed was nothing short of miraculous. Maya climbed out of the cockpit, her uniform damp with sweat but her spirit soaring higher than ever. Word of her performance spread like wildfire. Within hours, news outlets picked up the story, hailing her as a hero and a trailblazer. Military leaders who had once dismissed her now reached out, eager to learn more about the woman who had single-handedly silenced their doubts. Offers poured in, from invitations to join prestigious squadrons to opportunities to speak at global aviation conferences. But Maya remained grounded, humbled by the realization that her journey was far from over. For the first time in her life, she felt truly unstoppable. not because she had proven her critics wrong, but because she had proven something far more important to herself, that no dream is too big, no obstacle too great, and no sky too high for someone willing to fight for what they believe in. Maya's incredible flight in the F-22 Raptor didn't just leave the crowd speechless, it changed the course of her life forever. In the days following the demonstration, her name became synonymous with courage, resilience, and excellence. News outlets around the world covered her story, highlighting not only her remarkable performance but also the barriers she had overcome to get there. Social media buzzed with admiration as people from all walks of life shared her journey, drawing inspiration from her unwavering determination. The military, too, took notice. What had started as a last-minute decision born out of desperation turned into an opportunity for systemic change. Military leaders who had once dismissed Maya now extended a formal invitation for her to rejoin their ranks, not as a trainee, but as an official test pilot. This time, there were no excuses or biases holding her back. Her skills had spoken louder than any prejudice, and the door that had once been slammed shut was now wide open. Maya accepted the offer, knowing it wasn't just about her. It was about paving the way for others like her. She became the first black woman to officially pilot an F-22 Raptor, breaking barriers that had stood for generations. But more importantly, she shattered the stereotypes that had long dictated who could and couldn't belong in the cockpit of a fighter jet. Her presence challenged outdated notions and forced institutions to rethink their practices, creating opportunities for future generations of women and minorities in aviation. Her role as a test pilot gave her access to cutting-edge technology and some of the most advanced aircraft in the world. Maya embraced this new chapter with the same passion and dedication that had defined her journey so far. She worked tirelessly, not only mastering the mechanics of flight but also contributing to the development of new systems and strategies. Her insights, born from years of studying aerospace engineering and hands-on experience, proved invaluable to the team she collaborated with. Pilots and engineers alike respected her for her intellect, her work ethic, and her unrelenting pursuit of perfection. But Maya's impact extended beyond the skies. Recognizing the importance of representation, she made it her mission to inspire young people, especially girls and children of color, to dream big and aim high. She traveled across the country speaking at schools, community centers, and aviation events. Her talks were filled with stories of struggle and triumph, humor and heartbreak, always ending with a simple yet powerful message. If I can do it, so can you. During one such visit to a middle school in her hometown, Maya met a shy 12-year-old girl named Tia. Like Maya at that age, Tia loved airplanes and dreamed of becoming a pilot. However, she confided in Maya that everyone told her it was impossible because she was just a girl. Maya knelt down to Tia's level, looked her straight in the eyes, and said, "Let me tell you something important. The only limits that matter are the ones you put on yourself. Don't let anyone else decide what you're capable of. You keep looking up, okay? Keep dreaming, keep working hard, and don't stop until you touch the sky." Tia nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. Years later, when Tia graduated from aviation school and earned her wings, she credited Maya for giving her the courage to pursue her dreams. Stories like Tia's reminded Maya why her journey mattered, not just for herself, but for everyone who needed to see someone like them succeed. As the years went by, Maya continued to push boundaries both professionally and personally. She became a mentor to aspiring pilots, advocating for diversity and inclusion within the aviation industry. She wrote articles, gave interviews, and even helped develop programs aimed at increasing access to STEM education for underrepresented communities. Her efforts earned her numerous accolades, including awards for leadership, innovation, and humanitarianism. Yet, despite the recognition, Maya remained humble, always quick to credit her family, mentors, and supporters for helping her along the way. One of her proudest achievements came when she was invited to join NASA's astronaut training program. It was a dream she hadn't dared to voice aloud, fearing it might be too ambitious even for her. But after proving herself time and again, she realized that ambition knows no bounds. Training alongside some of the brightest minds in the world, Maya prepared for missions that would take her beyond Earth's atmosphere, a testament to how far she had come since those childhood days of watching planes soar overhead. Even as she reached new heights, Maya never forgot where she came from. She returned to her hometown regularly, visiting the airstrip where her father had worked and sharing her story with kids who gathered there. She often brought along model planes and flight simulators, encouraging them to imagine themselves in the pilot's seat. For many, these visits planted seeds of possibility, showing them that their dreams weren't as unreachable as they seemed. Today, Maya is celebrated not just as a trailblazer in aviation, but as a symbol of hope and perseverance. Her legacy lives on in the countless lives she has touched, and the doors she has opened for others. Yet through it all, she remains grounded, always looking to the horizon with the same sense of wonder that fueled her childhood dreams. And though she has achieved more than most could ever imagine, Maya still looks to the sky, knowing her journey is far from over. After all, for someone who has spent her entire life reaching for the stars, there will always be another challenge to conquer, another boundary to break, and another dream waiting to take flight.